5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Weekend confirmed.
Ignition. Liftoff. Liftoff.
Hey guys, it's Jeff, 2N's 1T here with your question of the week. This one comes from Twitter. It comes from our friend at Matt Geisbrecht. Is it Geisbrecht? Matt, I keep forgetting how to pronounce your name. But thank you for continuing to contribute. Your question this week is to me specifically, and I appreciate it. You say, where did your love for board games come from? I love when I get a chance to talk about board games. I always liked them. I always loved the social aspect. Growing up, I played all the classics, of course, Monopoly, Clue, Scrabble, Scotland Yard when I was a kid, Trivial Pursuit when I was growing up. But I didn't know about the vast, wide world of designer board games until just a few years ago when my friends and I started playing Dungeons & Dragons. Actually, that's how I met Alex Albrecht and Dan Trachtenberg from the Totally Rad Show, and that's how the Totally Rad Show was born, is that a bunch of us had never played Dungeons & Dragons when we were kids, and we had all wanted to, and so this sort of loose conglomeration of guys that knew each other all banded together and formed a party and played Dungeons & Dragons for the first time. That led to us going to a gaming convention for the first time to play more Dungeons & Dragons, and while we were there, we passed by a table that had Munchkin on it. Munchkin, the Steve Jackson game, wildly popular Steve Jackson game, which is sort of the comedic anti-Dungeons & Dragons. It's a card game where you play in the milieu of Dungeons & Dragons, although there are numerous expansions of all kinds of different stuff, comic books, sci-fi, zombies, vampires, anything you can imagine. Anyway, you play as a party, but you're kind of going against one another and trying to kill monsters, but stabbing your friends in the back. We loved it. We played it for hours and hours and hours, devoured all the different expansions as they were coming out, and that led us to find out that there's a whole world of these other designer board games that have been coming out since the early 90s, and then the first game that I really sat down and played was Settlers of Catan. And that blew the doors wide open. If you have not played Settlers of Catan, it's the consummate Euro starter game. People say there are certain games that will just kind of feed you into the hobby, and it certainly did that for me. I had a taste of Settlers of Catan, which has become very mainstream now. You can find it at Toys R Us. You can find it at Barnes & Noble, I think. If that even still exists. Borders, Barnes & Noble. One of those went out of business. Anywho, give it a try if you have not. It's a lot of fun, and it blows the doors wide open of what board games are. You're playing at the same time as everybody else. You're trading. There's no sitting around waiting for somebody else's turn. Everybody's turn. Everybody's active. Strategy, randomized board, lots of awesome concepts that are common in what have become Euro designer board games. And once I found that and found BoardGameGeek.com, it was all over. I couldn't get enough. I've been playing designer board games ever since, and I'm sure you'll hear me talk about lots more of them in the coming future. But thanks for this question, and have a good week, guys.
Cannata.